Hey everybody, I hope all you guys are having a good day. Before I get started, I'd like to ask for you guys to keep the Philippines in your prayers, especially Mindanao, here where I live. There's been an uptick in rebel activity. The military gave the military advised people to avoid a certain barangay that's here in the province that I live in. They said it's overrun with rebels and the military are there now. It's something happening here that I didn't think would get here. I didn't think they would come this far in, and they have, and they're really trying to make an offensive. It's only about 6 kilometers from us, so it's really close to home. I've actually seen some rebels going up and down the road on their scooters. You can always tell them by the way they look, their appearance. I don't want to go into detail about that, and I don't share a lot of this stuff that I'm sharing with you guys on Facebook because it's too personal, and I have too many people that live here that are on my friends list that you never know if they're really a friend. So I'm sharing with you guys just to keep us in your prayers and send good thoughts our way, if you would. For about 4 years they've been bombing the telecommunications towers, and the last 3 or 4 weeks our internet has been horrible, and that's because they had bombed one of the smartphone towers, or the server there, and so we're just now trying to get our internets back up working. I mean, they never were great to begin with, but it's really been horrible here lately. At night, we've been hearing a helicopter and a small prop airplane flying around. I'm sure they're using flare, and watching to see if they can see movement. So it's just something that kind of hits close to home here, when it's that close. And anyway, it's just one of those things you have to deal with, when you do what we do. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys and ask to keep us in your prayers. A while back I did an upload. I can't even remember the name of it, but I decided one day that I knew there had to be a story behind the names of the 12 tribes of Israel in the order that they were given in the book of Revelations. And because I'd heard the story, of the story that was in the bloodline of Adam to Noah. And so I started researching that, and during my research, I found out that some other people had already did it, and they had done all the legwork, and so there was a story there. And recently, I was thinking about looking into the bloodline of Cain, because I thought there has to be a story there too. And during my research on that, sure enough, there's some people that already did it, and there is a story there to the bloodline of Cain, and I'm going to read that. After I read that, I'm going to tell you about a dream that a sister in Christ sent me and asked me if I'd look into, because there were some numbers with it. And the numbers, I went along with Strong's Concordance and a little bit of her dream, and it pretty much tells the same story of what's going on in the bloodline of Cain. I've talked to you guys in the past about the Rh negative bloodline and the Rh positive, the beast of the field, and the bloodline of Adam. There's also a bloodline of Cain, and they are Rh negatives as well, but but they went in a different direction, and I'll show that to you. I did a sermon on this at our church a while back. Well, I'll tell you about it as I go. Now, I'm going to read you the story based off the names of the bloodline of Cain. I'm not going to give you each individual's, well, I'll give you their names. It's Enoch, Edad, Mehulau, I'm horrible at these things, You know what? I'm not going to try it because it's horrible. But anyway, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 names in the bloodline of Cain that's given in the book of Genesis. And each one of those names has a meaning. And when you put all those meanings together, it tells a story. And I'm going to read you that story now. It says, you have to remember, Cain is a wanderer. He was sent to wander, okay? It says, a teacher of lawlessness under the mighty one, God. God's wrath will set himself up as God to overthrow him, meaning Jesus. I assume that's what it means, to overthrow him, to advance a way of life of shadowy, dark defensiveness, to restore Cain's way of pleasure and pleasantness. You know, I get goosebumps when I'm reading that, because the system that has been built today by that 1%, the elites, the psychopaths that are into all this craziness with child sacrifice and all the blood drinking and all that stuff, these are this bloodline, you know, and they're restoring Cain's way, okay? And there was a girl a while back that looked at all the U.S. presidents and how they all went back, you know, they were all related, and they all went back to this one man, and that was, what was his name? It was the mongrel king, golly, I can't remember his name. It'll come to me later. Anyway, he was the king that was so feared by people. Cain, that was his name. He keep thinking Shere Khan, but that was Star Trek. But anyway, it was Cain. Their bloodline goes back to Cain. And if you'll look in Genesis, you know, when Cain was sent off, he was sent off to the land of Sin, and that is China, you know, and Cain is of the mongrel tribes. And what is mongrel? Mongrel means mixed, okay? Cain was someone who had came from an RH positive, and from Eve was RH negative. This was before God put enmity there to stop that. And so they started their bloodline. And then there's the bloodline of Adam, which is the RH negatives, okay? Everybody's mixed now, so don't get trip on the blood and worry about what blood type you are and all this stuff. If you're RH positive or RH negative, it doesn't matter anymore. The only blood that matters is the blood of Jesus, okay? But this is stuff that's going on now, and there is meaning to all this stuff in the book of Genesis. It's not all just spiritual, you know, about the beasts of the field and the enmity between the seeds and stuff like that, because if there was nothing to it, then all of us would have the same blood type, okay? But there is different blood types, and they are different, and there's something going on there, and this is the truth that I know about it, okay? So anyway, Cain was a wanderer, and he went to the land of Sin. And if a lot of you Americans remember, you older guys out there, if you'll remember back in the 1970s, there was a television series called Kung Fu, and the character's name was Cain, and he come from the land of China, okay? And he come to the old Wild West in America, and he was a wanderer. He wandered around, and you know how they turn everything upside down. He was protecting the helpless, and it was like he was the savior, okay? But he was going around and helping people against bullies and things like that. But there's something that those people understand the past, and they know what was going on. Cain was a wanderer. His name was Cain, and he was a half-breed. His dad was half Chinese, and his mom was half American or something like that. But he was a half-breed. He was a mixed. He was a mongrel. So anyway, they know stuff. One day I may do an upload about the Planet of the Apes, because there's a lot of things in the movie The Planet of the Apes and beneath the Planet of the Apes that make a lot of sense and things too. So anyway, I wanted to read that to you about the story in the bloodline of Cain. Now, this sister that sent us, I hear my nanai outside, The sister in Christ sent me a dream of hers, and in the dream she had the date, and I took the dates and just took the combination of numbers that could go with that date, and I took them in the order that it came to me, and used the Strong's Concordance, and I used it in that order, and it gave me this story. Okay. Before I get into that, I want to say one thing. The bloodline of Cain, they were the first city builders. They built cities. That's what they did. They built societies. The mess that we have today, you know, where people are climbing over the top of each other, trying to get the best seat, or you know, killing each other to get that promotion, you know, so they can buy more things that they don't need. You know, it's consume, consume, consume. That's what it's all about. They built cities, stacked us on top of each other to where we would forget our culture, forget how to live off the land and things like that. You know, they're the architects of this world. You know, the compass and the square. They built this society that we live in today, our religion, you know, our schools. Everything we do here today is they built it and they placed it at our feet, okay? And we've eaten it up, all right? So anyway, I'm going to just read you. I'm not going to tell you the numbers and all that stuff. I'll just read you the story that this dream that the sister gave me reads. And it says, the father of the wanderer will come murmuring and grumbling discontent. He is like Lebanaha, a full white moon. Through his rage, many will be purified. In this time, many will hear the voice of their Father, who is Elohim, and will be filled with a vigor and a wealth of spiritual understanding. They will breathe fire and destroy the devastator. The unwed virgins will be made one with the groom. It's short and sweet, but it amazes me because I just did this sermon about the bloodlines and the bloodline of Cain at our church here in Malawi. And in just a short time, this sister tells me about her dream, and it's about the wanderer who was Cain. And there is no such thing as coincidence in this realm that we live in. Everything happens for a reason, and God leaves us these breadcrumbs to show us things that are going on in this world today. And like I've said from the very beginning, there is an upheaval going on now. Things have gotten darker consistently every year. You know, people's hearts and minds have grown so cold and so heartless. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's been like that all through history. We just see it more now because of the internet and things like that. But I'm sorry, I don't buy that totally. You know, things are a lot darker now, and things are getting a lot worse. And I believe there's going to come a time where it's going to get so bad where people are going to they're going to be stripped of all these things that they think are important now. And whenever that happens, whenever they're stripped of all these things that they're showing us all the time and making us believe that we have to have this or we have to have that or we just can't make it another day, you know, once all that is stripped away and gone, then that's when we're going to start hearing and seeking the voice of our Father, those who are still asleep. And I call those the ones that are in the net. And then there are those who are dragging the net. And that's going to be our time to shine and to share more and more our testimonies and to help bring in the great haul. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. Sorry about my rambling as always. You know, again, please keep us in prayer. I hope to do some more videos here pretty soon using the Greek and the Hebrew on some of the stories of Jesus, because it's a completely different story, and I think you guys will like it. Anyway, I love you all. God bless.